without putting in underground parking, which is not feasible and if you're going to provide affordable housing. I want now to turn to concerns about Arrow Road. We had a traffic study done, and it shows that with the addition of 100 units in phase 1, there would be an increase in traffic to and from the site, which equates to 10% increase in peak hour traffic, and in the western portion, a 20% increase in the eastern portion of Arrow Road. That increase would equate to one additional vehicle trip every 6 minutes and 40 seconds on average. That total built out with an additional 60 units in phase 2, remember there 80 would be removed and 140 would be added. The increase would equate to one additional vehicle trip every 4 minutes and 17 seconds on average. Here's Arrow Road with the painted sidewalk. The picture on the left is from the top of the knoll looking down towards University Heights Shopping Center. The picture on the right is from the driveway to Mount Douglas up to the knoll on the road. Saanich Engineering have provided the following input, and I'm going to go through this quickly because I think it's already well known and been discussed. It's classified as a residential road. It has a line painted asphalt shoulder on the north side. Priority for sidewalk improvements is not in the cards now, and it has not been identified as a priority for that study, and at least in the next 5 years. The fact is, it's unsafe. The sidewalk along that road, especially in inclement weather and bad light, especially for seniors with walkers or seniors with scooters, is unsafe. Our alternative will be to upgrade a pedestrian connector from our property through to Cedar Hill Road, at least for the safety of the people that are at Mount Douglas Court and those that we hope will be in new buildings there. That red line shows a connection from our property to Cedar Hill Road. And the right side of the picture, right, is University Heights Shopping Center. Below us in this area is Arrow Road. These 4 pictures show the present situation with regard to an illegal easement that the society has from neighbors to exit from this property for pedestrians to Belmore Place. The first picture on the top left shows a sidewalk and a round manhole. In fact, there's a 10-foot statutory right-of-way owned by Saanich between 2 residential properties. There's a 5-foot pedestrian easement over that right-of-way. The top right picture is a pathway that is on the easement. It is less than 4 feet wide and fenced, and the ground is uneven and it's difficult for people, especially seniors with walkers and challenges to go along. And a fence has been, a gate's been built at the end of it, just before Belmore Road. Advancing further down this pedestrian lane is a 5-foot wide Saanich right-of-way with proper paving and width and ease of access for seniors. Our intention is to widen this path, as we are legally allowed to do, to make it more like the picture on the lower right.
You just thought of 6 inches.
Here's a architect's view of that situation. The property at the top where it says pedestrian safety is Mount Douglas Court. The hatched area is the easement that's in there now. The red dotted line is the extent that it could be pushed out to 5 feet.
You have 4 feet 6 right now.
The present plans in phase 1 call for 7 visitor parking stalls. The visitor parking ratio is supported in the planning report. Neighbors are asking for additional visitor parking. and we agree with them. We'll incorporate 14 visitor parking stalls in our working drawings. That's different than is in the planning report. Rents for phase 1 of our project. Rents for bachelor units will range from $500 to $600 a month, depending on mortgage borrowing rates. Rents for 1 bedroom from $700 to $800 per month, depending on mortgage borrowing rates. And we intend these rates to include some utilities, as they presently do. Borrowing rates for mortgages today, we predicated this project at a 4% mortgage rate to be conservative. That's a $700,000 annual payment on the capital cost for the project. The best rate we can get today with CMHC mortgage insurance is 2.4% for 10 years. That's $590,000 annual payment. We qualify for that lower rate, which would reduce the rent to each of our affordable seniors by $100 a month. We would not qualify for this rate without CMHC insurance. Mortgage insurance would not be available per restrictive covenant or zoning imposed affordability on this property. Remember, we've been here 40 years doing this. We're designing this for seniors. This is an incredible bonus for us, for our residents. We can knock $100 off the rent because of taking advantage of a present good mortgage market. Our future development, phase 2 will replace the existing 40-year-old building. It has a useful remaining life of 10 to 30 years. It's planned to be a 140 unit 3 and 4-story building. Phase 2 will require a development permit, and according to the planning report, height of building in this phase will have to be approved by the development permit process. That's a public process. So you or a future council may determine the height of that building. Our residents, we recently met with them to assure them that rents in the present building will not be increased because of this development. The present building will stay in place. There will be construction inconvenience. Our residents have not been approached by the neighbors. Their opinions are important too. For them, this is a comfortable home. What we've planned is a walking trail, they haven't got now, a central formal garden, a landscape rain garden, new common gardening area, preservation of hedging and extensive landscaping, a new dark pickup and drop-off. These are 4 photos showing the hedging around the site now. The top left photo, that's on the east boundary from the parking lot to the neighbors. The top right photo is hedging on the west boundary. Bottom left photo is very high hedging, about halfway to 3/4 of the way down the west boundary. And the bottom right photo shows hedging extending almost out to Barrow Road. We did install some hedging on the north side of the property in anticipation of letting it grow, regardless of what happens at this property. The deer killed it, and we're going to have to replace it. It's unfortunate. Building amenities we're providing. The brown area here, those are units. The blue areas are common areas or amenities. The bottom right, we're putting in storage for scooters. There's a maintenance area here, an equipment area. Here's a large lounge area, and this repeats on each of 3 floors. A meeting chapel, craft room. This is a flex space. Storage in each of 3 floors in this area here. A sunroom, family dining room, something that the residents presently don't have, but all residents will be able to use this. If they want to have friends in and cook a meal, this is the place they can do it. A laundry will be on the 2nd floor. We haven't determined how many appliances yet, but we'll work that out as we do our working drawings. An exercise room on the 3rd level. That is my presentation. I would be happy to answer questions of council now, or would you like me to ask the architect to make a brief presentation first?
Why don't we let the architect?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Council, Traffic Mark Anthony. I'm going to try and do a quick overview.
Can I mention at any point if you can't hear, just raise your hand?
I'm trying to find our presentation. Oh. Sorry. It's not there. Put it on the desktop. Oh, it's down there. It was meant to be quick. Okay, this is the Phase 1 site plan. You can see it with the existing building in the W shape. The Phase 1 will wrap around that existing building so that no one moves out of the existing building while we're under construction. We show the two existing curb cuts to the service lane at the west and the parking at the east. The existing parking has been expanded along the north, to the north with the turnaround and the handy dart drop off between the entrance to the existing building and the entrance to the Phase 1 building. As Peter noted, the blue is our amenity spaces and the tan is the units. The main floor plan, which Peter went through, what I want to point out here is that the entryway, the central lounge, and the sun fountain room all are connected to exterior amenity spaces and terraces on the south and west spaces. You will see here too that the units are made up of basically one-bedroom units, just over 500 square feet, and studio suites, just under 400 square feet. Along the north side and east side, we've done a bay window treatment to break up the length of the unit and added balconies along the west and south faces and around the central courtyard, which is kind of the internal exterior area for the building. All of the units have been designed to the adaptable housing standards for Saanich, for seniors, with increased access, entryways, and washrooms or bathrooms. And on the second floor, as noted, this community activity area in the center remains. It goes up all floors. The note here is that the second and third floor contain fully handicapped suites at the southeast end and the northeast end, a bachelor unit and a one-bedroom unit. And a quick walk around the unit, the Phase 1 building. Of note here is the white building is the existing building. It's a two-story building on a 4-foot elevated crawl space, whereas the Phase 1 building is a 3-story building, bringing it in just under 8 feet higher than the existing building. And we'll just start here at the entry plaza and walk our way around. The entry has a sheltered area and plaza as people wait for the handy dart. And the east side shows the breakup of materials. It's a cementitious fiberboard in several colors around the building to break up its length. The windows have been grouped into corner windows and bay windows to break up the mass of the building. They're detailed in trim and fiberboard. And then a metal eyebrow roof is dropped down to group those windows and then to break up the length and the top parapet line of the building. From the northwest corner, the north to the east, or to the left shows the walkway and the added balconies on the west side to the right. A view across the rain garden to the family terrace and the courtyard beyond, and the white again is the existing building. And the view from that terrace into that internal courtyard with the formal garden. Back at the entry looking into the garden, and we're at the front entry again. And I'm going to hand this over to Renee, who's going to talk about the landscape.
Thank you. So the landscape is designed to be attractive and functional. It provides an outdoor amenity space for residents and has an important role in stormwater management and provides screening for adjacent neighbors. The entry to the new building is off an outdoor plaza surrounded by planting. It includes seating and bike racks and connects to a walkway that passes in front of the existing building, connecting to our road. The path then connects to the existing lane along the west edge of the property. It meanders along the north edge of the property, and our current intention for the path is to be constructed of well-compacted, finely crushed granular material, which meets BC's accessible parks and trails criteria. An existing hedge will be replaced, as Peter mentioned, and that's to act as a vegetative screen, and new trees along the north property line will provide some screening and oversight for the oversight, as well as to bring nature to upper floors and positively contribute to the pedestrian environment and scale. The exterior amenity area includes a formal garden and flex space, and that's right in the heart of that L, the corner of the building, the inside corner. There are several benches and there is plenty of space to accommodate chairs and tables to support functions and programming requirements. A large rain garden, which is close to the west boundary. It collects the new building's roof water and some surface water, and will also collect rainwater from the Phase 2 building's roof, and that's acting to detain and filter stormwater. And there is a small seating node at the southwest corner of the rain garden, as well as a large deck off the family sunroom. There's also a large west-facing community garden, which is 70 raised beds, and a garden shed for residents' use that would be equipped with all their gardening tools. This area is completely surrounded with deer fencing, and the current site includes a few raised beds, but this substantially expands and improves the gardening opportunity for the community. The last item to note for the landscape component is the parking stalls all have permeable paving, and new planting islands have been added. That sums up the landscape.
Questions?
Questions, yes.
Councilor Durbin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Mr. Daniel. Mr. Daniel, you mentioned that you met with the neighborhood on a number of occasions. Thank you for that. However, when you met with them, it would appear that the vast majority of the neighborhood are opposed to the project, even though they are supportive of the concept of social housing on there. So one question I would ask you is, how has, as a result of meeting with the neighbors, how has the project been shaped or reshaped to address their concerns?
Well, first, thank you, Mr. Durham. First, the project was proposed as 4 stories, and it was reduced to 3 and 3 plus 1. We have met with the neighbors and heard their concerns about density and height. The height of this first phase building is 8 feet higher than the existing one. They seem to be okay with 2 stories, which doesn't work for us, but they will not look at 3 stories. At one meeting in January the 9th with representatives of some of
Actually,
the
I'm
neighbors.
just asking how it's been reshaped, not whether or not you agree with the neighbors. In what way has the project changed as a result of neighborhood input?
It hasn't. We have.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel. My next question is, why did you settle on the number of 240 units, essentially threefold where you are today, as opposed to say 180 or 200? Is there a magic number in the 240?
At heart, we have a very valuable 4-acre property that can accommodate a desperate need. We're planning a project of a density that's lower than anything that the planning department has compared this with. We have a mandate to provide this kind of housing, and if we can't provide a sufficient number of housing units on this property, the value of this property may dictate that we should do that somewhere else. I don't want to do that. This is a project worthy of Saanich consideration for Saanich residents.
Thank you.
And they badly need it.
Third question, there are obviously serious financial concerns here. Do you seek grants from other levels of government, or do you seek other funding partners such as the CRD Housing Trust Fund, partnership with the province and things of that nature?
No, we don't.
And why would that be?
We don't need to do that. We paid off our mortgage, and we have been self-sufficient in this society for over 40 years.
But as I understand it, Mr. Daniel, the reason you can't put a covenant or a specific site zoning on this is the fact that you feel you don't have enough money. Why wouldn't you seek a partner and then be able to provide that guarantee?
I don't think the reason we're asking for no covenant is because we need money. It's because we want to reduce rents for our residents.
But if you had a partner or a grant, couldn't you reduce the rents and provide the covenant?
I don't know. This society has been, as all of our diocese societies have, independent and built what it has built on its own.
Thank you. My last question, you indicated the fact that you agree with the neighbors, and I think others, perhaps some councillors here, that Arrow Road is unsafe, and that one answer is the pass-through that was outlined in red.
Right.
Is the intent to make that pass-through available to the neighborhood, or is it simply for the members of the housing society?
Certainly it could be public.
Okay, would there be some sort of public path or something that indicated that that would be possible?
I would have to ask the society, but I don't have a problem with that.
Thank you, Mr. Daly.
I would like to add one thing, Councillor Dermott. I meant to mention in my remarks that the building will have conduits for future consideration of solar energy.
Thank you. And maybe you might be the appropriate one. I thought it might be the architect, but I noticed that you were only willing to commit to built green silver, not to built green gold. Why would that be?
We're trying to keep this project as cost effective as possible. We're aiming for built green gold. You will hear from one of the directors of Built Green shortly on this.
But there's no guarantee of accomplishing built green gold.
No.
Thank you.
Councillor Brownell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a few questions.
Sure.
My colleague asked you some that I had on my list. I'm wondering, as you stated that you can't put a covenant on this property because it'll impact your borrowing with CMHC. So what kind of mechanism can you guarantee in writing somehow to the community that this phase and phase 2 would be seniors affordable housing?
We've got 40 years of doing this.
I know,
okay?
but I'm
We're
just saying,
building for seniors.
what can you guarantee to this community?
I'd be happy to guarantee whatever CMHC allows that will still let them put mortgage insurance on this property.
Okay. My other question is around it might be to your architect, I guess, I'm just kind of wondering about the setbacks, I think it's Quiver, 1548. If the architect looked at stepping that side of the building back, because that's the short setback on that side.
30 feet?
Yeah, it's, I was there, and the trees, as you said, weren't the right cedars, they were not the cedar hedge you have on the rest of the property. But you've got balconies on that side, so they will be looking into neighborhoods' backyards and stuff. So I'm wondering if your architect looked at stepping back on that side.
There has been a discussion between us and the planning department about no balconies on that side because of that issue. They're shown on the plans, but because of that overlook, that they could be removed.
Okay. And the other thing I had, can you tell me, there'll be an elevator in this building? How many elevators? Two elevators?
Yes.
I think I'll leave the rest till after we hear from the public. Thank you.
Yes.
Councillor Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to the applicant. I wanted to ask, and you will mention it, where's the outdoor smoking area?
In a gazebo. The building will be a non-smoking building.
Yeah, where's the gazebo? I can't. Because if I on here, I didn't see where that would be.
It's, that's the landscape art. Is this in here?
It's either that location.
This one here? Right there?
Right there,
Yeah.
by the old building. Is that what you're pointing
That's
at?
right there. Can you see it on the screen?
Where is it? But that's where it is, by the old building?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And is it on here, says Avery?
Yes. There will not be an aviary here.
No, but that's going to be out the smoking
Yes.
space.
Yeah.
And Councilor Brown already mentioned those units to the northwest corner, they're all in the neighborhood. You said they might be changed.
The balconies could be removed from that
That's fine.
portion of the building, yes.
Okay, and and with the buildings being built, it's quite a wetland there, so is that being managed?
Yes, it
I know
is.
there's being stormwater
Yes.
management.
We have our civil engineer tonight to speak to that.
Okay, we're going to pull this from that. And the other thing I wanted is there, in your plans, I didn't notice, do you have a street contextual view that shows the building in relationship to the neighborhood?
We had some material on the website showing what the building would look like from a distance back from the property line over houses, but I don't have that here. It's on our website. I believe the planning report covered that as well.
Okay, it's just, I'm a very visual person, so
Yes.
it's nice to see. Okay, thank you.
I have two questions. The new building meeting amenities that you have, will they be available to the entire complex or just to the new building?
Assuredly, the entire complex.
Okay. Figure of 50,000 was put out for curbing down Arrow Street. Is that something you would be interested in taking on?
I would like to take that under consideration and talk to the society about it. It's something we'll have to consider if it's a request of council.
At some point over the next short time, you would make a decision on it?
Is that a hard number for me, or is it
If it's less, we'll give you a refund. I shouldn't kid on an important issue like this.
Thank you.
Maybe you could discuss it with staff.
Yes,
and
we would
just
be
see
happy
what might be done.
to discuss it with staff.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to respond to one other issue, and Mr. German stated that had a lot of neighborhood opposition to this, and we have. The most important neighbors for this project are the people living in it, and they do support it. And I'd like any of them that are here today to raise their hands and show that support. Any residents here? Thank you.
Okay, if there are no further questions, thank you very much. Councillor Hayes.
Mr. Daniels, thank you for today's presentation. I have a question for you. You mentioned that you had not responded to neighbours' concerns about the height of phase 1, but it dropped from 4 stories to 3 stories.
That's
Was that in
correct.
response to staff then and without neighbours' input?
That was in response to staff, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then secondly, one of the things that we are hearing as a concern is the number of cars and traffic. Can you give us an indication of how many of your residents are car owners and use cars as a rough ratio?
We did our own study, and it seems that about 40% of them have cars and use them. And that's similar to other projects that we have, Dawson Heights, for example.
And one day when I was touring the site, with neighbours actually, we spotted quite a number of vehicles parked in the parking area. And later on I called you about some questions that the neighbours had asked me and I wanted to ask you. And you mentioned that some of the residents have a parking spot, but they don't have a car, so they rent out the parking spot. Can you just talk about that and how that is controlled or impacts?
I can't substantiate that.
Yeah.
I think the rental for parking is $20 a month,
Yeah.
Wow.
$12 a month, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think some of the neighbours were worrying perhaps that number of vehicles would be adding to traffic, but then I understood that they're parked there versus routine daily use.
They're not commuters, and most of the folks there can't afford a car.
Thank you.
Councillor Plant.
Thank you, Chair. Through you to the presenter. Just curious,